healing agents from your own body to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. If you have ongoing joint pain from arthritis or injury, you need to call QC Kinetics. Don't assume that steroids and surgery are your only option. Times have changed, and regenerative medicine can get you moving again with no downtime. Stop taking the pain meds and discover the remarkable alternative that pro athletes have been using for years. Thanks to QC Kinetics, this amazing treatment option is now available for folks like you and me who are sick and tired of joint pain. Don't put this off any longer. Spring is coming and you want to enjoy all life has to offer. Call QC Kinetics now, 937-936-0325. Get a free consultation with local medical professionals. QC Kinetics, that's 937-936-0325.
Lowe's always has more ways for you to save. On top of our everyday low prices, pros can save big when buying in bulk. Or if your purchase is over $1,500, ask about our volume savings program. A pro associate can provide a customized quote. Ask about our volume savings programs today. It always pays to be a pro at Lowe's. While supplies last, minimum purchase required. Selection varies by location. Lowe's reserves the right to limit quantities. Volume discount pricing quotes are valid up to 7 days. Visit your local pro desk to learn more and start saving. Offers subject to change and may not be available in all Lowe's stores.
O'Reilly. Count on the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your vehicle and budget. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years or 300,000 miles with peak long life universal pre-mixed antifreeze and coolant. Now just $6.99 after mail-in rebate. Plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly. Limit supply. See store for details.
Kev Nash, Justin Kinner with you live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, off and rolling with you here on a Thursday. Our first full week of the offseason, Kev. It's been kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of quarterback talk as always. A lot of questions and marks about who's going to sign a franchise tag, who's going to get a big contract this offseason. I'm sure we're going to get into more of that talk today.
Oh, of course. I mean, we can't just not talk football, but we are going to do our best. So we're going to have a sprinkle a little football in, but baseball coming up around the corner. And before we let the Reds ruin our total baseball season, want to enjoy the excitement for baseball season while it actually exists. But Rob Manfred addressed the media today, had some interesting comments. He was asked about Reds ownership, part of their ownership group, and Phil Castellini, and some of the comments that he had to make earlier in the offseason. We'll get to that coming up around the corner. Also with some Reds news and baseball news in general, it has been interesting because of the fact that David Bell has been addressing the media as well, and he has kind of announced his plans for how they plan to use Tyler Stephenson this upcoming season. And for once, Kev, I mean, I actually agree with David Bell on something.
Well, look at that.
Because it was trending in a weird direction as far as how the Reds were planning on using Tyler Stephenson. I'm actually a big fan of how they've announced that they are planning on using him this upcoming season. But I wanted to open up with this because Rob Manfred made some comments and was asked about some comments that Phil Castellini had made earlier in the offseason regarding the competitiveness or the expectations for not just his team, but for 1/3 of the league. I mean, you have the fact that Phil Castellini had mentioned the fact that his team already has no shot, talking about the Cincinnati Reds, that they're, obviously, operating as a small market team. And sometimes just because you operate as a small market team doesn't mean you have to operate as that. Keep that in mind. But he was talking about how they already don't have a shot, but the Reds and basically what he was doing was justifying their lack of competitiveness, if you will, Kev, because in his presentation, he kept alluding to, well, it's not just us. 1/3 of the league spends, at the level or less than what we do. 1/3 of the league is not competitive within their division. 1/3 of the league is already eliminated from playoff contention before we even get into spring training. Those comments did not sit well with a lot of people. It did not sit well with the Reds fan base, but it did get a lot of local and national media's attention. In fact, that's why Rob Manfred was asked about that earlier today at a press conference. Take a listen.
Hey, Rob, when you hear a team president in January say that his team already has zero shot at contending or even being a winning team, what is your reaction? And also, do you agree with him that a quarter of the teams to a third of the teams have zero shot before we have a pitch in spring training?
Look, I think that most people who pay attention to our game realize that we do have a disparity issue in the game, both on the revenue side and consequently on the ability to spend on players. I think sometimes in markets that produces frustration that leads to what I regard to be unfortunate comments, not helpful.
Unfortunate comments and not helpful. Here's the thing, though. I'm not defending Phil Castellini at all, Kev, but you can't say that those are hurtful comments and not helpful when they're truthful. I mean, the problem, what Rob Manfred should have said is, actually, I agree with him 100%. That is the case, and that's the problem. Phil Castellini's comments aren't the problem. Like that's the whole thing about this is I don't disagree with Phil Castellini one bit. I could disagree with their ownership, I guess plans or the way that they go about their day-to-day business, but I don't disagree with Castellini at all. The Reds are not, they're not going to compete this upcoming season. They're not going to win a World Series. They are, one of the many teams at the bottom that do not spend money the way that they're supposed to in Major League Baseball. So while everyone, and it was weird, Rob Manfred, fans all over social media, finally he says something I agree with. No, actually, Phil needs to be speaking up more about those things. Although he may be using that as an excuse, what he's doing is he's at least putting it out there so that the league can grasp onto those things and say, yeah, we need to fix that. I think the only comment that I had an issue with was Rob Manfred's comments, not Phil Castellini. Rob Manfred saying that those comments aren't helpful. Why? They're not helpful because it's bringing to light the reality that fans have been screaming on social media forever and even before social media. So I have no problem with what Castellini said because he's right. I have a big problem with Rob Manfred trying to say, yeah, that's not helpful and that's hurtful to the league. No, the practices of these teams is harmful and hurtful to the league. What Castellini said should be grasped onto and change should be initiated based on that to prevent that from happening. But basically telling Castellini, hey, what you said, that's not helpful. Well, either is the way you allow them to operate. That's not helpful either.
Yeah, you know me, I'm always in search of more information. So when I hear things like this, it automatically makes me want to ask questions. So my question to Mr. Castellini is, what are you trying to get across? What point are you trying to get across by saying that? Because are you saying like, okay, all these teams that aren't going to be in contention, not going to make the playoffs, we're just going through the motions. Are you saying that this sport needs a salary cap? Is that the overall point that you're trying to get to? Because you can never compete with the Yankees or the Dodgers because of the markets that they're in and they bring in so much money and they're allowed to spend as much as they want. Is that the point you're trying to get to? Because you know how I am. I always want more. Like sound bites give me something, but it always gets my mind to thinking, what are you really trying to get across? So that's the type of follow-up question that I would ask Mr. Castellini. And then on the flip side, what I would ask the Commissioner of Baseball, what are you going to do to fix it? What can we do to make sure that we have the appeal of the NFL where, teams lie to themselves all season long? People in the NFL and fans lie to themselves all the way up until Halloween. That's 2 months of the season where people think that they can still make the playoffs. And they're like, well, if this happens and this happens, like, look at me. I'm a Steelers fan. Somehow, some way, by the last week of the regular season, if things would have broke our way, would have made the playoffs. So that kind of left me hooked. So is it a situation where, hey, man, we need to, retract teams because baseball has done that before, reduce the number of games to make each game more important? What are we going to do to make this product better for everybody, not just the fans, but the teams, because the teams are what make this go. So those are the type of things that I'll always like to just throw out to the people that we get interviews from. Like those are kind of like the questions I would like to have for follow-ups.
Yeah, the vibe, or at least when I heard Castellini make those comments about a month and a half ago, what I took from it was it was very defensive. Like, hold on, you guys are you
Right.
act like we're the only ones that aren't competitive. You act like we're the only ones that aren't spending.
Look at that team.
Yeah, he's trying to absolve the ownership's actions based on, well, we're actually with the trend of a lot of teams in baseball. We're one of many teams in baseball that aren't spending and aren't competitive and already are basically eliminated from playoff contention before we even get to spring training. Here's the problem so when you said, is he alluding to maybe wanting a salary cap? I don't think so. That's what he's alluding to, is because, for one, it's one thing if the Reds are like, they're spending $150 million a year. but they know they can't spend that $300 million a year because they're not the Yankees. But you
Right.
know what? At least if we as fans saw, man, every year they're spending $150 to $200 million. They're trying, but they know they can't spend any more than that, but they're trying. And then they're saying, well, we need a salary cap because we're showing that we're willing to spend money, but we can't spend as much as them. So that's unfair. But when you are not spending money and then complaining about the teams who are spending money, to me, that's not showing that what he wants is a salary cap, because what the salary cap would do is force them to spend money. And it doesn't feel to me like they want to spend money. Every guy that they keep adding to this roster, they're scrap heap guys. I mean, every time I see the Reds have assigned so-and-so to, a spring training, whether it's a spring training invite or, to their minor league system or whatever, I'm like, you're not adding legitimate dudes that are going to help you win right now. You watch the NBA, and right now at the trade deadline, you have a lot of guys being bought out, but you have teams that are trying to win who are bringing guys on board. The Cavs just brought on Green or whatever for a $2 million contract for the rest of the season. I mean, every contract that the Reds are bringing in, they're just, they're under $1 million guys that they're hoping are just going to get hot for a season that they can claim, man, we saw something in him that nobody else did. Well, yeah, it's called, the for sale or, the clearance tag on the side of his jersey. That's what you saw. So, the fact that, the 10 lowest Major League Baseball payrolls last season, obviously the Reds aren't in the bottom 5, but they are in the bottom 10. But, the Marlins, they spent a combined $83 million. All right. The Guardians spent a combined $67 million. The Pirates, $66 million. Oakland, 45. Baltimore, 43. I mean, that's a problem when you have that many teams who are spending, 70 or less. And then you look at the highest payrolls in baseball. We're talking those teams spending $70 million. Your team spent $67 million, Kev. Well, then you look at the Dodgers, who spent $265 million. I mean, they're spending $200 million more. And these are things that fans you already know. I'm not telling you something you already don't know. But that's why when you have teams, a lot of teams spending less than $100 million a season, while other teams are close to that 2.5 mil to 3 mil range, that's showing that no, those teams aren't screaming for a salary cap. Unless they are, and they're saying, well, we want them to stop spending so much money, but we want to continue spending as little money as possible. That's a problem for the sport as well.
So my question to you, because you're more of a baseball guy than I am, as a fan, do you feel more upset when you see teams like the Rays and the Guardians go to the playoffs with very similar payrolls as the Reds? Because is that a thing?
I think it's like the Guardians, like I always say, like last year, I'm not saying they're hurting baseball, but they almost hurt baseball, because what Rob Manfred can do is look at the Guardians and say, well, look, clearly it's, they could, like, for instance, they can use the Guardians to look at the Reds and say, hey, don't blame the other owners for spending money. Don't blame us for, X, Y, and Z. Clearly, you could spend a little bit of money and still maximize a roster. And the Reds aren't maximizing their roster even while spending significantly less than the Guardians, or same amount as the Guardians, or whatever. So the Guardians almost hurt baseball, because they're going to be used as well, see, they're doing it. Why can't you do it?
Yeah,
well,
them and
outlier,
the Rays.
like we talked about yesterday. Outlier.
Them and the Rays are like the poster childs for, hey, we're not going to spend any money. We're going to do all this stuff with the minor league system. And then when we actually do have a good team, we're going to throw a whole bunch of money into it. And then we give it a 2-year run. And then when we win or don't win, we're going to tear it right back down. And they're the poster child for that. And that's who MLB is looking at when all these other teams are complaining about all the big dogs like the Yankees and the Dodgers spending, and like, well, look at your counterparts in quote unquote small markets. They're able to do it. Why can't you? And that's what I would say if I was a Red fan. I would say, hey, man, look up the street in Cleveland. Somehow, some way, they always seem to find a way to win games and go to the playoffs. Look at the Rays. They play against the Yankees, and somehow they beat the Yankees a lot. What's your problem? Those are the questions that I would be asking the Reds.
Yeah, again, this is a tweet from Charlie Goldsmith. So this was a press conference from yesterday, technically, but just one more time, I'm not going to air the audio again just because it was a little bit of a longer piece, but the part that caught my attention the most, we do, and this is from Rob Manfred, we do have a disparity on the revenue side and the ability to spend on players. Sometimes in markets, that leads to frustration, that leads to unfortunate comments. It's unhelpful. No, Rob Manfred, I disagree wholeheartedly. I think what Phil Castellini said, I'm not condoning their ownership tactics. I am just agreeing with what Phil Castellini said. What he said is 1,000,000% right. Where are you going to go? Not that comment. The comment about, well, we don't have a shot this year. He's right. Well, Rob Manfred, do you want him to tell us that they have a shot? That's not being truthful. Right? To be honest, I think the one thing the Castellinis don't get enough credit for, they're the most real owners in baseball because they have no problem saying, well, we own you guys. Like, where are you going to go? We're your only option, dudes. Like, what are you mad at us for? Like, you're lucky to have us. He's not wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the proper customer service if that's how you want. Obviously he comes across very cocky and arrogant, but at the end of the day, do you want ownership that's telling you what you want to hear, knowing that it's not matching what's going on behind the scenes? And by the way, it sounds like I'm condoning the Castellinis. I'm not. I'm almost making a joke slightly about, hey, they're the realest owners in baseball. They're the only ones actually telling it like it is. Like, yeah, we're not spending money. We're a small market. But who cares? Where are you going to go? We're the only show in town, good or bad. So, but I think Rob Manfred's comments about saying that those are unfortunate comments and unhelpful, I think that is completely wrong. I think those comments are helpful, and I think that those are very fortunate comments to be made out loud because now there's tangible evidence that we as fans can say, see, we're not just a bunch of blowhards on social media just finding something to complain about. Like, the numbers back up what Phil just said, and Phil's just trying to say, well, you want me to spend a lot of money, but look at all the other teams that aren't spending money. How come you're not mad at them? Well, Phil, because you're our team's owner. That's why. It's as simple as that. So
I would say it doesn't help because it's not going to help put butts in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're conceding defeat in January, we haven't even threw out a first pitch at spring training yet, then why would I go? Why would I show up to your ballpark? Why would I drag me and the family down to Cincinnati to a game? Why would I do that on a Tuesday night when I got to get the kids ready to go to day camp and I got to go to work the next day? Why would I do that? If you already given up, why should I care? I should just stay at home and not watch it on Bally Sports.
Speaking of Bally Sports, that's the other thing to keep an eye on as far as the future of how we take in baseball games. Bally Sports, we may not have Bally Sports by the time opening day rolls around.
Well, we don't have it because we have YouTube TV already. So
there's ways you can have it. But yes, exactly. But there are, for those who do, you may not have Bally Sports much longer, but that's something we can talk about a little bit later on in the show. Lots in store for today's show. A lot still to get into, of course. Ohio State did announce a cancellation of a key future non-conference matchup, and I think it's one of many cancellations, not just for the Buckeyes, but some of these big programs as conference realignment officially kicks in starting in 2024. We'll talk about that. The Cleveland Cavaliers are reported to be agreeing to a contract buyout with Kevin Love, and Kevin and I were talking before the show. What is Kevin Love going to rank amongst some of the Cleveland Cavaliers all-time fan favorites? Taking LeBron James out of it, of course, he may not be a fan favorite right now, but that's besides the point. David Bell's plan on how to use Tyler Stephenson in 2023. We'll get to that around the corner. Plus, when we come back, the guy versus just a guy. Kev Nash didn't really explain to me all the behind-the-scenes details of this upcoming segment, but he's forcing me to not be have a wishy-washy opinion. I have to tell you whether this quarterback is the guy or just a guy. We're going to get to that on the other side. Kidder and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave whatever you want. Isn't that great?
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Want to know how you can satisfy every comfort food craving? Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and try a home-style bowl for only $4.59. You'll get a bowl of our mashed potatoes with fresh strip bites, corn, and gravy, all topped off with shredded cheddar cheese to create a truly unbeatable bowl. Get your every wish in one hearty, craveable dish when you try a home-style bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for only $4.59. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
If you're looking to obtain a quality education at a low price, look no further than Clark State. With over 160 degrees and certificates available, Clark State has a path for you to reach your goals. Our tuition rates are one of the lowest in Ohio, so getting that degree is easier than ever without breaking the bank. For more information about Clark State, visit us at www.clarkstate.edu.
I'll second guest dinners with friends because they can be interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit creoninfo.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREON info.com.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Kinner and Cav back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We are live on Facebook. We are live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, so make sure you go and check the show out there. That's where you can watch the show, let your opinions be heard and read live on the air, or you can give us a call at 518-1410, 518-1410. Nick Allison says he enjoys the show. He also said, "Who day?" Damon Hahn says, hold on, the computer froze. So he says it's not direct stream either. It's not on direct stream either. I'm assuming about our baseball comment from earlier. Justin Smith, he's a Pirates fan. He says, and this is from YouTube, he goes, the Pirates are taking it to the house this year. He says, go put $5 on it. I am excited about sports betting with baseball. I have heard that is one thing that it will make, if you follow a bad baseball team, even if you follow a good baseball team, but if you follow a bad baseball team, the sports betting stuff will at least make your team a little bit more interesting as far as how you follow the game. That's for sure. So,
you know what? I'm glad you just said that, because I have a free $5 bet from the Super Bowl.
The bonus bets. That's right.
I have a bonus bet. I am going to do this right now. I'm going to put down a futures bet on. Is it up? Is it up? Is it up? It is up.
On which team?
On Major League Baseball, on the World Series.
Who you putting in?
Who you think?
The
Who you
Reds.
think?
Attaboy, the Reds.
You stop the games. I'm putting it on the home team. My home team, the beloved Cleveland Guardians.
So Adam says, don't forget the no sweat bet for NBA on FanDuel. Yeah, I still have a couple of my bonus bets too from that Gronk kick. By the way, that was a very weird thing. Like I thought it was going to be a live kick. They kept building it up, and it was like a pre-recorded thing. He missed it, but they said if you made it, you got it. But they gave it to you anyways. I don't really care. It was a bonus bet, so I'm glad we got it. But yeah, let me see. I have $19 in bonus bets still to use for FanDuel. FanDuel tells me don't call them free bets, all while they call it free bets on their app. Doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm going to stick to what I was told, and bonus bets it is. But bonus bets, $19 in bonus, which I don't get. Every bet I do is like a $10 wager, so I don't know why I only have $19 in bonus bets. Like they I don't have it. They missed me on $1.
So for my beloved Cleveland Guardians to win the World Series, $5 bet gets me $125.
All right, let me see what we could do for the Reds here.
Go ahead and put it down.
So we're, live on the air here. Great radio, by the way. Where is the Major League Baseball? So they don't even have.
You have to search baseball.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then you get all the drop downs. You get like regular season wins for basically each and every team, and then you get to the World Series probably halfway down.
Too much work.
Too
much work. I'll go take a look during the break. Too much work for me.
Oh, look!
Are we done here?
Mets or Yankees to win the World Series? Yankees or Mets or the field?
The Mets. I tell you what, I'm a big fan of their owner. He's the one that he's
Dropping
basically
that bag.
he's spending left and right. And what I like about him is he's not a part of there's some owners that they basically all work together. Like, hey, we're all agreeing. And by the way, this is not technically allowed, right? Like what is this called? Collusion. But they all wink, nudge, are all agreeing not to spend X amount of money on free agents or certain positions, yada, yada, which is what the NFL basically has, which is why the Browns, although there's a lot of reasons why the Browns are disliked, the Haslams, when it comes to the Browns ownership, are very disliked amongst other NFL owners because they screwed everything up. They reset the quarterback market. And now every quarterback that gets paid technically resets the quarterback market, but this didn't just reset
money.
It. This just
fully guaranteed money.
It's not even resetting it. It's just the previous market's a thing of the past. This is a brand new market because Cohen's kind of operating the same way with the Mets and I love his quote when he came out not too long ago and said, well, owners are just mad at me because they're not willing to do what they're supposed to. And that is to put a winner out on that field. And that's what he owes the fans. I love owners who are fans. I know people say they got to be professional. No, I'd rather have an unprofessional, towel waving, hat backwards, fanboy owning the team. Yeah. Like people ripped him with the Clippers. I'm like, no, I love that. I hate not truly knowing whether the team owners love their team or not. We know he does. We know Cohen does with the Mets. I believe that the Castellinis were fans of the Reds growing up, and I believe that they do care about the organization, but they're not putting their money where their mouth is. And now who are we to spend their money? But I believe we have the expectation of when you buy a team, it's not an investment. It is to win, to compete, and to do it the right way. And I don't think they're doing that the right way. But the Mets, they have a great ownership group. Will they make mistakes? Probably. It's known that teams that spend the most money don't always guarantee championships, but at least you feel like they're trying. How many Reds fans feel like the organization is trying right now? I don't raise a hands yet. No hands. But nonetheless. All right, Kenner and Kev with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Kev, we have about 10 minutes. So 10 minutes, we're diving into this. The guy versus just a guy, right? Yeah. So explain the rules of this to our listeners. You want to be the guy or just a guy?
Yeah, so I came up with this today, the guy or just a guy. So basically, is this quarterback worthy of you having on your team and you think that they can help your team win it all? Win it all, because that's what the guy really means. Because this franchise quarterback term gets thrown around a lot. I'm trying to come up with something new. The guy. Do you believe your quarterback is the guy to lead you to a Super Bowl victory?
All right. So the guy versus just a guy. I don't know which guys you have on this list.
Yes.
So the guy versus just a guy. Rotate to your right just a tad bit, by the way. There we go. All right. We're off and rolling. The guy versus just a guy.
All right. I'm going to start off something light. Kirk Cousins. And the rules are based on Super Bowl expectations, correct? Just a guy. Fair enough. I agree. Kirk Cousins is just a guy.
Just a guy, mainly because, like I said, I think he's a guy that he could be a quarterback on a Super Bowl winning team, and he is definitely better than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. But if you think anyone out there is a Kirk Cousins away from winning a Super Bowl, I don't necessarily believe that. I don't think that that's the case. I think you have to have a dominant defense and a run game and enough weapons to just be a little dangerous. But if you need him to do what Patrick Mahomes just did this past Super Bowl, or what Jalen Hurts did, literally, oh, okay, cool, I'm not going to dominate through touchdowns through the air, but I'm going to punch it in the end zone 3 times with my legs. I don't think he's that guy. Just a guy.
All right. Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones is just a guy. Very similar. I mean, a lot of these guys are very similar to Kirk Cousins, where you're confident in their ability to play the position, and he's going to be paid as just a guy that you believe in, that you're going to invest in, but you're not going to invest top dollar to. You're not going to invest the guy money to. He's just a guy. But the Giants have a very solid quarterback, but I don't think anyone's jealous of the Giants quarterback situation by any means.
I agree with you 100%. Just a guy. Tua.
This what? So this is, we're not allowed to have an in between. He's not. So let me just put it this way: every time I want to be wishy washy with it, is he the guy? In Miami, he is, but he's not the guy. He's not the guy. If he was a free agent, but
he plays for the Dolphins, so
I'm gonna say just a guy.
Woo!
Just a guy.
I thought you were gonna go the other way. I'm not gonna lie.
I like Tua a lot. We saw, and again, by the way, everyone that wants to chalk up his success to, well, look, he wasn't good till he got Tyreek Hill. Well, that's kind of how football works. You need weapons around you to be good. But that's the difference is Patrick Mahomes, you take away his number one weapon, or his number one wide receiver at least. Take his number one wide receiver away, he got better. You take Tyreek Hill away, Tua's not getting better. He's just a solid quarterback that needs weapons around him. So therefore, he's not the guy. He's just a guy. Sounds disrespectful, but again, the Dolphins have a very, very good quarterback. They have nothing to worry about.
Paid like the guy. But is he the guy? Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray can't be in between. That's why I hate this game. Man, if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said the guy, because again, I fell for the halfway point of that 2021 season. The Cardinals were undefeated. He was an MVP candidate. And I thought, he kind of does it all. He has a very strong arm. He's semi-accurate. He's lost some of that accuracy now, but at that time, very accurate. He was making bomb plays. He can make plays with his legs. That's the prototypical quarterback in today's style of the NFL. Shorter side, of course, but everything you want. But he's kind of let his attitude and some of the other stuff kind of rub off on other people to where I don't have a great taste in my mouth about him now. So I'm going to say just a guy, but the expectation and the money says he should be the guy, but I think he's just a guy for right now. But I do think he has more of a ceiling than some of the other guys we've just talked about.
I want to say the guy, because the Cardinals, they should have moved on from Kingsbury last year and brought in a whole new regime and built it around Kyler Murray and said, hey, come in there with new energy. Now, this season was a complete disaster. Then he gets hurt. Now they have a new head coach. So I'm going to say just a guy just based off of the total disaster that last season was.
Jacob Fightmaster, real quick, Kev. He says, Kyler Murray is the guy on Call of Duty. Well played, Mr. Fightmaster. Well played.
All right, number 6, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, despite all of my question marks, and he is the guy. If the Browns had Baker Mayfield at quarterback and they had a chance to get Lamar Jackson, oh my gosh, I'd be doing cartwheels to get Lamar Jackson. I'm not as anti-Lamar as what I appeared to come across at times. I would be worried as a Ravens fan because of his style of play. It's just as simple as that. There's a reason that when you have these, really fast sports cars, these really fancy sports cars, that the insurance on them is through the roof. And it's because these insurance companies know that, hey, they're very awesome cars, but they're probably going to be used in ways that, just your casual little compact car won't be used. That's why the rates are through the roof. That's how I view Lamar. Lamar, it's not, it's a great car. It's a badass car, but you also know they're going to be reckless when they use it. And the chances of the payments being made throughout the entirety of the shelf life of that car or that quarterback are very slim. So that's where I would be concerned. I think that's why Ravens ownership is dragging their feet and not willing to bow down to every demand at this point. But no, he is the guy. There's no doubt about it. You don't win an MVP on accident in this league. And again, he's the guy.
I agree.
To close it out.
I agree. Lamar Jackson is the guy. Hot button for a lot of people out there, and you are a fan of this team. One, Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott is a guy. I've been consistent on that. I liked it. But so for our listeners who are tuning into this, being a guy is not an insult, just to be clear. Like the reason Kev is picking a lot of these guys, I could tell, are They're in between guys that I'm not allowed to say in between. But it's hard to find a Dak Prescott. The only reason he got paid, and people say the Cowboys are dumb for paying him. No, they're not dumb for paying him, because what's the alternative?
Right.
The alternative is going to get a Jacoby Brissett. And as much as I like Jacoby and a Cooper, as much as I like those guys, and by the way, Cooper Rush was winning games in Dak's absence, but he wasn't winning games. Let's just be clear. Dak came back. They put up 30 points per game. The stats don't match the aesthetics of the way the team looked when he was out there, which is very strange to me. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm going to say he's a guy. And until he can prove that I don't know. I'm going to say a guy. I'm just going to stick with a guy. I'm not sold on Dak. Not yet.
I'm going to say a guy for a different reason. I'm going to say whoever takes a snap for the Dallas Cowboys is just a guy until proven otherwise. We've seen a lot of good quarterbacks come through the Dallas Cowboys since the great Troy Aikman was the quarterback, from Quincy Carter to Romo.
Quincy Carter.
Yeah, my guy Quincy Carter.
He retired Bill Parcells.
Yes, to Romo and now Dak. They've all lost. They've all lost in weird ways. We've seen Tony Romo drop snaps. We've seen Dak Prescott run a quarterback draw with 5 seconds on the clock. They just find a way to lose, and it's kind of Stephen A. Smith how I feel about them. So whoever the Dallas Cowboys quarterback is just a guy until proven otherwise for me.
All right. And by the way, for those just tuning in, Kidder and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio, the guy versus just a guy. Kev is throwing different quarterback names at me, and we're trying to decide if this is the guy or just a guy. Y'all can, it's up for interpretation of how you want to label these guys. You could chime in the comment section, and I'll get to your responses in a moment. Next up.
For sure. He's a free agent now. Just got cut by the Raiders. Derek Carr.
And this is another gray guy, but we can't say gray. So I'm going to say a guy. But reminds me a little. There are some quarterbacks that if you have them at quarterback, like Dak and others, there's nothing wrong with these guys. There's nothing wrong with Tua Tagovailoa. There's nothing wrong with Dak Prescott. There's nothing wrong with Derek Carr. If the Browns didn't get Deshaun and they had Derek Carr, and I think Deshaun's better than Derek Carr, but if they had Derek Carr, I'd be very, very pleased. I'd be very, very happy. So he's a guy, but there's always just that one thing missing. It's just something missing, whatever it is, but it's hard to find even the Derek Carrs of the world. I'm going to say a guy, no disrespect, but he's not an elite quarterback in the NFL, at least not in my opinion. A guy.
He's just a guy, but let me add this caveat or question to this. There's so much conversation about Aaron Rodgers joining the New York Jets. What if Derek Carr joined the New York Jets? Is he enough to get them over the hump to, let's just say, an AFC championship game? We'll start there.
AFC championship is the expectation if Derek Carr goes there, because they just need stability at quarterback. White was a quarterback that can go in there and throw for 300 plus yards, and then the very next game throw for 178 yards and 2 picks and yada yada. I think Derek Carr can go in there and give you a flat 225, 250 a game. 1 to 2 touchdowns a game, maybe a turnover here and there, but stability is what they need. So I think that's good enough to get them to the AFC championship expectation, and even, contending to win that division, even up there with Buffalo. Aaron Rodgers would make them Super Bowl expectations, just because I think he would get even more out of those weapons that they already have. So there's that. Derek Carr, to me, a guy, but very, very good nonetheless.
Okay, this is a good one. I allude this guy to Texas of college football last year. They went up in the rankings for losing. Jalen Hurts. He lost the Super Bowl, but he balled his butt off. Is he the guy or just a guy?
If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said the guy, very close to, or a guy. 2 weeks ago, I would have said a guy, very close to being the guy, just because I needed to see him go out there. He needed to have that moment. We was talking about that what's that moment, that defining career moment. We saw it in the Super Bowl. They didn't lose because of him. Now you could be nitpicky and say that fumble, that 7 points up there. Okay, that's fine, but that was just one of those things that, well, maybe we can use that. I don't know. To me, he is the guy. And for him to have 4 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, his very first Super Bowl appearance ever, and not look nervous. The offense, we've seen some starts to these Super Bowls over the last 4 or 5 years where teams just come out of the gate super slow and they can't get anything going. He came right out, no question marks. There's nothing about that shoulder. He just was on fire from the very beginning. I think he is the guy. Philly going to pay him, and they're going to have a great quarterback for the next 10 plus years.
I agree. I think Jalen Hurts is the guy. Almost done. This is the youngest guy on the list. Former Buckeye, former Georgia Bulldog. One, Justin Fields. The guy or the guy?
Once a Bulldog, always a Bulldog. Actually, they probably won't claim him if he's just he is a guy. Look, I want him to be the guy, and maybe this year if the Bears put weapons around him or whoever he's playing for this upcoming season, put weapons around him and he has that breakout year, then my opinion will change. But as of right now, Buckeye fans, we need to stop. There's not one thing about him that you can say he is the – look at all the guys that we've said are the guy. He has nothing in common with absolutely any of them other than a player comp being Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson – is a former MVP, and all his team does is win when he's out on that field. Justin Fields has all the intangibles to be the guy at some point if his arm is as good as what we expect, like it was in college and accuracy and all that. But he is just the guy with the ceiling that we hope he continues to climb up to reach. But he is a guy. He's not the guy.
I agree. If I would go lower than just a
Damn!
guy because he's so unproven and there's so much going on with the team that he currently plays for. Last one and the best one. Buckle up. Deshaun Watson.
He played like just a guy in those 6 games.
Yeah. I love this time of year because we get real honest Kenner. We don't have fan Kenner right now because season isn't going on. We're getting real honest Kenner right now.
Just so for those watching on the YouTube feed and the Facebook feed, I got my new shirt today. My Valentine's Day present from the best wife in the entire world. Just want to throw that out there. That has nothing to do with this, but yeah, I'm still the same guy from the season. I just wanted to make that clear. Look, he played like just a guy the last 6 games of the season. However, you could say the Browns overpaid and did all this stuff. If the Bengals didn't have Joe Burrow, I'm not guaranteeing that they would have done exactly what the Browns did. But when teams know the only way to win in this league is to have an elite level quarterback, everything we watched from Deshaun back from when he was with the Texans, he was an elite level quarterback. He was a top 5 quarterback. If he played on a better team that last season he was in, he would have been in the MVP conversation. And actually was. If you go look at the MVP finalists that year, he was right up there with them. So he is the guy. He played like a guy the last 6 games, but he was brought over to be the guy. He's paid to be the guy, and he is expected to be the guy. He's a guy. He's the guy. But I understand why those out there have their doubts. But again, you're going to ignore the first how many years of his career and base it off of 6 games and the fact that he made some decisions that we don't like off the field. Y'all want to do that? That's totally fine. But he is the guy. He's the guy.
I'll piggyback on what you said because I do believe that he is the guy. He better be the guy for everything that they gave up for him. For everything that they gave up for him, he has to be the guy because if he's not only is the head coach probably going to get fired, so is the GM. So he better be the guy.
And there you go. That is the guy versus just a guy. You agree, disagree with any of the names that we threw out. We'll recap some of these on the other side, but give us a call. 518-1410. That is the same number that you can text us as well. 518-1410. Text or call. The guy versus just a guy. Deshaun Watson, a controversial one. I am very sure of it. Dak Prescott and some others. Some names that Kev did not bring up, Justin Herbert and others. I'll throw those out there too when we come back. But 518-1410. We'll be right back. We'll get to some of your Facebook and YouTube responses as well. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
This is Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Tomorrow.
As the answer your questions, and diagnose your vehicle quickly and efficiently. Our priority is customer service. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop for service, parts, and body shop. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Did you know that Masterforce has thousands of tools at Menards? Any tool you want, we have. There are hammers, drills, pliers, levels, wrenches, grinders, sanders, air compressors, nailers, workbenches, mowers, blowers, chainsaws, floor jacks, knee pads, work lights, fans. Whew. And that's just a taste. Want power, performance, durability? Come check out the wide range of products from Masterforce, exclusively at Menards.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. There are many time-wasting distractions in business. I call it noise. Noise prevents you from growing your business. The trick is to determine what's real and what's noise. Here's an example. If a payroll salesperson contacts you, it's noise. I say this because Patriot Software is scaling quickly with our 5-star rated payroll, and we don't have salespeople because our payroll product sells itself. Our payroll is for businesses with up to 100 employees. We handle payroll taxes, offer free setup and support, and our prices are proudly displayed on our website. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-761-5522. 800-761-5522. That's 800-761-5522.
When you least expect it, life happens. You can count on McAfee's 24/7 service to be there when it does. Any season, anytime, McAfee.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Ohio State at Iowa tonight, college basketball. We are Dayton's radio home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, not just football, but basketball as well. Yes, I know the basketball team not having a very good season this year nonetheless, but with all the train derailments throughout the country right now, that you can compare, if you're going to use a sports analogy. I mean, I think the Ohio State basketball season is a derailment in itself right there. But they look to get the train back on the tracks coming up later on tonight against Iowa. So nonetheless, they're an 8-point dog, by the way. And they'll win.
I want to say nice things, but I have nothing nice to say. Good luck, Bucks.
Not a team. It's not a good team. It's not a good team this year. But I just hate when we live in the moment. And if you're having a bad season this year, it means you're a bad coach. That always drives me crazy. Having a bad season. That's why last week we had that debate about, when Jay Book from Bucknuts said, man, the program is just a disaster. I'm like, hold on. Like, there's a difference between that. I mean, Louisville, that program is close to being a disaster. I mean, and by the way, they played a very competitive game against Virginia last night. At one point, I finally flirted with the idea of putting some money on Louisville. And I always go money line. I need to stop putting money on the money line and just go with the spread. If I would have gone with the spread, I would have at least won some money because they would have covered. So nonetheless, but Louisville didn't get pummeled by 20-plus points, only lost by 3 or whatever it was. How about the Cavs? Down 30. Came back, lost by a few possessions. You always say no lead is safe in the association, and the Cavs were proof of that. But, man, they got down early quickly. It was like 30-10 in the first quarter. Then they got down by 30 at one point, and then they went on a little mini run, but it was just too little too late. Sixers, though, they were on it.
Yeah, I turned it off after the first quarter where they were down like 20-something points. Made some dinner, watched the show on Netflix, came back to check it out. I was like, oh, they're down 30. And I was straightening up the living room, and then they started chipping away at the lead, and then that kept me up watching the rest of the game.
Yeah, we'll get to some association stuff in the Cavs coming up around the corner. A couple more minutes here before we head into hour number 2, but we did the guy versus just a guy and just kind of went through the list of some NFL quarterbacks. And, of course, everyone has different opinions of these quarterbacks. Brad Mays says, wasn't Kyler the only reason that Kingsbury was even there?
Correct.
He was, and what's funny is Kyler's why he was there, and Kyler's honestly why he left, is why he kind of got booted. I mean, other reasons too. The team obviously didn't perform well, but you're only as good as what your quarterback is. But the problem is they were always really good in the first half of the season, and for 3 straight years they just did nothing but slide in the second half and just fall out of playoff contention or get knocked out early in the playoffs. Now Kingsbury was on a retreat for a little bit, is back, and last I checked, is he signed on the staff yet, or he was interviewing for? He was rumored for the Alabama staff. The staff that staff's filled out already, but
I can always make room.
Yeah, keep an eye on Cliff Kingsbury and where he ends up, nonetheless. Continuing to go down the list, David Mann on Facebook says Dak is a guy at best. He remains historically better as a quarterback than that most benefits. I don't follow all of this. I'm so sorry, David, but some of this doesn't make sense because expecting him to be the guy that constantly leads a team as the reason they won, he'll never be that. That I do understand, and that I agree with. The problem is, so this is where, we focus as media so much on the money that these quarterbacks make, is because with certain, money amounts comes various expectations.
Right.
If you look at Daniel Jones with the Giants, if he gets 35 to 37 mil a year, he's expected to win them football games, but he's not expected to be the reason that they win football games. Dak Prescott, unfortunately for him, he is paid as a guy that is supposed to win them football games. Jalen Hurts will officially be paid to win them football games. Deshaun Watson, that's why there's no, the last 6 games of the season for the Browns, there was not one performance in that was justifiable of the 50-plus a year, all guaranteed. Now, I'm not going to overreact or underreact or be a homer or anything along those lines. That was not acceptable. But we start seeing those performances to start next season. Now I'll be hitting the panic button. But he is paid that money because he's supposed to be the guy he was in Houston. So I think the dollar amount of which you are paid brings about the expectation. You look at Patrick Mahomes. I think he's living up.
I think so.
To the dollar amount, go be the reason your team's winning football games. And I think he's accomplishing that. That's for sure. Derek Carr's a bum. I don't agree with that one. I think he's still very good. Andrew Robbins says David is right. This is about our baseball conversation from earlier. Baseball does need a salary cap. Plus, I can't stand the Reds ownership. Makes it hard to love the Reds anymore. David Shaw says Jalen Hurts is the guy. He says Justin Fields is just a guy. And then he says Deshaun Watson is just a guy. Okay, he's not just well, are you Shaw are you basing on just where he is right now based on how he performed for the Browns those 6 games? Because I have no argument against that. He did look like just a guy with how he performed for the Browns in those 6 games. But I mean, even when the Browns signed him, you even said top 5 quarterback in the league. So I mean, he's not just a guy. He did perform like just a guy. He's supposed to and expected and paid to be the guy.
His talent and everything that he did in college, everything that he did with the Houston Texans. He's the guy. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit that. He missed 700 days. 700 days.
You bring it on yourself.
yeah, it's 700 days. If I'm agreeing with you, if he plays like he did the last 6 games of the regular season last year at the start of the next season, then I'll be moving on. Like, all right, man, like there's no more excuses. You should have knocked the rust off by now.
Keith Tolliver, he says Aaron Rodgers is overrated, and he would complain about the wide receivers every game, every bad game for the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers overrated. I don't know about that.
I don't think he's overrated.
But
his personality offsets his talent as far as how people engage with him. I like Aaron Rodgers. I think his personality is tough to defend him at times.
Yeah.
But at the same time, personality or not, doesn't matter what your personality is, the talent speaks for itself. I always say is the noise off the field. And by the way, there's no noise off the field with him. It's just the constant drama every year of, is he going to retire or not, demand a trade or not, is he invested or not? Is the talent worth the noise? Clearly, Aaron Rodgers, the noise being nothing like the noise of some off-field issues with other quarterbacks. But is the talent worth the noise? Yes, Aaron Rodgers is worth the noise. But as he's getting older and with retirement, always, an option, it's starting to not become worth it for the Packers, who are trying to build long-term. And they're like, well, do we build for a short-term run with you or a long-term with a different quarterback? It's all based on what he wants, and he's kind of a thorn in their side as far as how they want to go about doing that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was thinking about this earlier. We can't get the players confused anymore. Back in the day when there was be quotes in a newspaper or would take short clips from an interview that they would do on ESPN and, take it out of context or whatever. We don't have that too much anymore with players having their own podcasts, Players Tribune writing their own articles, his weekly appearance on the McAfee show. Like, we're not taking any of this stuff out of context. It's coming out of your mouth. You're saying these things. You're saying that I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll retire, maybe I won't. I'm gonna go on a darkness retreat. Like, there's nothing taken out of context. It's coming out of your mouth on TV.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing to take out of context. So if people are annoyed from the things that you say, it is what it is. But as a talent, he ain't overrated. He that dude.
Tolliver responds with, as Miss Jackson said, what have you done for me lately? It's my question about Rodgers. Keith, I think you're being a little too hard on Aaron Rodgers. I think you can, like what we're doing is critiquing the personality and some of the weird gaslighting stuff that he does with the Packers. He creates a lot of his own drama and then tries to point at them like, why are you, or the media, why are you talking about me this way? Why would you say that about me?
Nice.
You're why we're saying that about you, Aaron. Like, that's why. But what have you done for me lately? I mean, this is a guy that is coming into this past season winning MVP the previous 2 seasons. The Packers took away his top wide receiver or sent him away. And it's one thing if he wanted out, but they didn't do anything to bring something in to replace that. So, of course, he's going to take a step back. I'm defending the talent of Aaron Rodgers, the personality. It doesn't rub me as the wrong way as it does other people, but I see where it rubs people the wrong way, which is why I never defend it.
Who's saying he's average? Or
Keith Tolliver.
Keith, who's your team? Who's Keith's team?
Keith, that's a good question. Keith is one of the most interactive guys with the show. And who is your team? Oh, I think he's a Browns fan.
Okay.
I think. Keith, did I just insult you by calling you a Browns fan? Let me know. Let me know.
Because there's only
Browns. He is a Browns fan.
So there's only a handful of guys out there, as we just noted from, is he the guy or just the guy that you could take before you take Aaron Rodgers? Obviously, the usual suspects out there. There's a lot of guys out there that he's better than, especially on this 10-player list that we just came up for. So, I mean, if it's one of those teams, if Aaron Rodgers said, hey, I want to be your quarterback if I'm cut, they're going to get rid of their guy to get Aaron Rodgers.
Damon Hahn on Facebook, there are only 4 that I would call the guy. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow. Those are the only 4 that he would categorize as the guy. And I think all season, the only guys that were categorized as the guy were obviously Burrow, Mahomes, and Josh Allen, at least as far as those 3 being the main QBs that everyone talked about. Then you had your relics of Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I think, and Tom Brady's retired, so we could take him out of this. I think Aaron Rodgers should be in that group of 5. I think Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, and Rodgers. And then I do think Lamar Jackson. Let's be clear. I do think Lamar Jackson is that guy. So I'll say there are 6, in my opinion. Let me ask you, because we did go to 6. And to be honest, Deshaun Watson, I'm going to say 7. Yes, you can call me a Homer Browns fan, but we got to stop acting like what he did in Houston just never happened. And I'm not talking about the off-the-field stuff because we don't know if that happened or not. I mean, it is what quarterback perspective. Stop it. I think you guys are hating on Deshaun at this point. He's 27 years old. To act like that guy is, he's old. No, he's not old. We'll see what happens. I think there's 7 the guys in football.
I mean, I'm going to do it super quick. Josh Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Watson, nobody from the AFC South. Mahomes, Herbert. I'll go up to Herbert. So that's 6 for me. Hurts.
Damn, I forgot about Herbert. Yeah, Herbert has to be there. So I'm at 8, at least for me.
I'm at 7.
So who did I say that you don't have in there? Because I'm at 8.
I guess I will go 8 with Aaron Rodgers. But the thing about it with Aaron Rodgers, and to Keith's point, he's won MVP multiple times, and he's been in the NFC Championship multiple times. He hasn't been able to get over that hump in 12 years. So that's where people are at with Aaron Rodgers now. It's kind of almost like the LeBron thing. Unless you win it, you can do all this cool stuff in the regular season, but if you don't make it happen in the playoffs, whatever you did in the regular season just don't matter no more. Like, he's on that path now. He could have a terrible regular season, but if he balls out in the playoffs and wins the Super Bowl, he did it. He's back. So I think that's where Aaron Rodgers is in his career. I don't think like the stuff that he does stat-wise or trophy-wise in the regular season really matters anymore. It's really all about playoffs and Super Bowls.
So Burrow heading into year 4, as is Josh Allen heading into year 5. Hurts heading into year 4. How many years in the league do you have to play without a Super Bowl before your playoff success is voided because of no Super Bowl to show for it? Burrow has a shelf life now because he took his team to a Super Bowl. They've won back-to-back division championships. Jalen Hurts, he has a shelf life now because he's taken his team to a Super Bowl. But if we get to Josh Allen, though, I feel like Josh Allen is now, because so many young quarterbacks have passed him by taking their team to the Super Bowl, he's the first that's about to fall as far as the everyone's favorites in the NFL.
Yeah,
keep an eye on Josh Allen. But how many more years before Burrow and Hurts start to get that?
It's definitely expectations, because going into the season, looking at the Buffalo Bills, everybody had them winning the Super Bowl. Everybody in mom. You go to opening night, Thursday night, they beat the crap out of the Super Bowl champs. Everybody's like, oh, man, you see this throw? You see that throw? They're going to win it. They're going to win it. And then the season plays out, and then they get, manhandled by the Cincinnati Bengals. All that good fortune that he built up is kind of out the window right now. So the clock is ticking for him. Believe it or not, the clock is ticking for a Trevor Lawrence because of that outstanding second half performance that he had in his playoff game.
Victim of your success, almost.
Yeah. So, and same thing with Herbert. Like, the clock starts ticking. If you make it to the Super Bowl and you play well in the Super Bowl, you get a little bit more leeway. And especially like today, the clock starts even faster. Like, we talk about getting on to the second contract. Us as fans, we want that success and we want it right away. So if you don't start winning, it could get ugly real quick.
Kenner and Cav with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Some callers on hold. We'll get to you guys on the other side. But yeah, I am curious. Joe Burrow's a great storyline right now. But that book's going to close eventually for fans if a Super Bowl is not a part of one of those chapters in that book. Getting to Super Bowl and losing is not going to be good enough as far as keeping that book going. Jalen Hurts, first year of the Super Bowl this year. Everyone's excited and a big Jalen Hurts fan now heading into next year. But, the Eagles are going to lose a lot of guys from that team, and it's almost going to look like they regress next year. And it's not going to be because of Jalen Hurts. It's just going to be because the team as a whole, you lose your entire coaching staff, basically, all your coordinators. You lose a lot of your key weapons from that Super Bowl team. Now, who they replace them with, who they draft will play a role in that too, but it'll be interesting. But yeah, that bar moves all the time. And and by the way, not picking on the Bengals here, outside of my new shirt. I don't know if you guys saw the new shirt. Awesome new shirt, by the way. You can get it from the old Barstool Sports guys. we started to see, by the way, the Joe Burrow hate kind of kick in a little, and not the fans, not your fan base, by the way. Joe Burrow was beloved by everyone a year ago. Kev, everyone loved Joe Burrow. That wasn't the case towards the end there because of how cocky and arrogant the Bengals team became, and people kind of enjoyed watching the cockiness of him kind of get knocked down a few pegs. So eventually, and that's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Everyone loved Patrick Mahomes to start, and then guess what? People got that's the cycle of sports.
Yeah,
we love the new, and then we get bored with it, so we hate it, and then we start falling in love with the new. Jalen Hurts is the new.
Yeah,
as we currently sit here right now. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Here at Roosters, we're not just a fun casual joint. We're a family. No matter who we are serving, our guests or our community, we strive to better the lives of those around us. Whether it's aiding in the battle against cancer, helping to educate the next generation, or simply putting a smile on someone's face, the Roosters Foundation has helped raise over $1 million annually for local charities. Our community has given us so much. This is the least we can do. Roosters, we're a fun casual joint, but so much more.
Betting happens as fast as sports. And now every play is faster than ever before. You're on the edge of your seat until the moment when it's all on the line. Which is why it's important to pause before you play. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. So remember to set limits, know the risks, and pause before you play. To learn more, visit pausebeforeyouplay.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-497-9090. That's 800-497-9090. 800-497-9090.
Are you ready for tax season? Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment. Or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Calling for mostly cloudy skies and thunderstorms possible. Low 28 tonight. Clouds and 35 for today, Friday. Saturday, sunshine and 46. I'm Rick Schrepp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated days, no touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kinner and Cav with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We'll get to your calls coming up here in just a few moments. Again, Kevin and I are live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page as well as ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribing to the ESPN Dayton YouTube channel. That's where you can go back, watch shows in their entirety, select segments, all interviews. You can go and check that out. Some upcoming interviews that we have lined up. Kendrick Perkins, NBA champion. Of course, he has a new book coming out. So next week, we're excited to catch up with him. Bronson Arroyo next Tuesday as well. Former Reds pitcher. He's going to be inducted to the Reds Hall of Fame coming up this upcoming season. So we're excited to catch up with him as pitchers and catchers and spring training all, under one umbrella coming up. So I'm excited to catch up with him. Stephen A. Smith, his new book, he'll be jumping on with us here in the next week or two. I know trying to iron out a day as he's doing his book promotion tour, and we're pretty excited to have him jump on with us.
Nice.
Got confirmed he's going to send us some books so that we can give those away to some of our listeners, maybe keep a copy or two for ourselves. I haven't decided.
Actually, I bought the book. I haven't started reading it yet. I'm actually in the middle of Will Smith's book.
Keep his name out your mother effing mouth.
So I'm almost done with this one. And then once I'm done with this, I'll move on to Stephen A.'s book. So hopefully I can finish before Stephen A. comes on.
So there's that. But excited for that again. Did chat with old Ken Anderson yesterday. His birthday was yesterday.
Hey,
so I shot him a
happy.
text and said, I don't do this often, but I said, you're one of the few guys I would drop a who day for. I said, happy birthday and who day. Sent back a couple laughing emojis and said how much he appreciated that. I know the last time we had him on, there was a point where I was like, man, did I really piss him off? So I had to call him after, but no, it was all like he said, no, absolutely. He goes, hey, if you're going to dish it, you better be able to take it. I said, I could definitely take the ribbon. I just want to make sure we dish it. So that's all I cared about. But, so Anderson, happy birthday today. We got to say it on the show nonetheless. But okay, so Kev, coming up here, Ohio State has announced that they are going to be canceling a home and home series with a big non-con opponent coming up in 2024 and 2025. Now I say big. I'm putting a little extra on there, but Washington, they have eliminated the Washington home and home series in 2024 and 2025. Now, the reason to bring this up is because not too long ago, you and I had done a cap or no cap segment where one of them was the Ohio State and Alabama matchup that is supposed to officially kick off in 2027. I said cap or no cap. There will be no Ohio State Alabama home and home series when we get to 2027 and 2028. And I said, what's the rules again? See, it's not a Friday. I'm usually conditioned for the rules of cap or no cap. But I said, no, there will be no Ohio State Alabama matchup because all of these contracts that had come into play were with the current landscape of college athletics being the current setup of the Big Ten, the SEC, Pac-12, and yada, yada. But as we talked about on yesterday's show, in 2024, officially, Texas and Oklahoma will officially join the SEC in 2024. UCLA and USC will officially become Big Ten programs in 2024. In 2024 will also be the first year of the college football playoff expanding to 12 teams. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of those major moves that have come together over the last 2 years all overlap on the at the very same time. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it makes sense. You would be pissed if you're a Big Ten team and you get UCLA and USC and you get those programs in and then that money goes to the Pac-12 and then they come to you a year later and don't make it and you lost out on that money, yada, yada. So it makes sense. But with that, I do believe it's going to be so easy now for Ohio State to make the college football playoff. In fact, it's by adding more of these significant non-con opponents, in my opinion, I think it almost decreases your shot at making the playoff if you stub your toe along the way. I don't think it's necessary to put Alabama or Georgia, and I see Texas and the Notre Dames and all that. Notre Dame should stay on. It's next season. It's not going anywhere, of course, but I don't think they're necessary. I know I'm the minority on that, but when it expands to the 12-team playoff, you don't need that, in my opinion. You're in. Ohio State, congratulations. You've punched your ticket to the playoff pretty much every year starting in 2024, so there's that. I do believe you need these heavy opponents at the 14 playoff because what it does is it gives you the benefit of the doubt. They didn't play well. They do have a loss. They have 2 losses, but keep in mind they challenged themselves in the non-con, so that's why they have that second loss that they maybe wouldn't have had they did a lighter schedule like a lot of programs do. I know Washington is not a heavy hitter, but it was a solid non-con opponent. Ohio State wiping that out. I don't think that's the first non-con home-and-home series we're going to see Ohio State wipe out. Whether it's Alabama or Ohio State, I could see one of those 2 teams coming to the table and just agreeing to go their separate ways with it. I think Ohio State-Texas doesn't happen in a few years. Agree or disagree, Kev? I think because of the expansion of the playoff, all these great non-con opponents for Ohio State coming up in the next 10 years, we're not going to see anymore. Texas, Alabama, at Georgia, and I think that so the Texas, Alabama, and Georgia series, I think all of those along now with Washington, which I don't put necessarily in the same category as that. I think that's just the first of many cancellations of these home and homes. What say you?
It is. Unfortunately, you're right. But it sucks for us as fans. And they and us better be glad that they're expanding the Big Ten conference to add teams like USC to it because you take a look at some of these home schedules for Ohio State, man, it's just not sexy. Like they expect people to buy season tickets or us to buy tickets on the aftermarket and pay crazy markup costs for games that just don't intrigue us. I mean, we get obviously either Penn State at home or Michigan at home, and then we hope for one of our other opponents to be up that year, whether it's I don't know, Minnesota's up that year or Wisconsin's up that year, or whomever it is. Like, oh man, they're having a surprising year. This would be a good game to go to. But for the most part, it's a lot of games that are over by halftime. So that's what I do truly miss about college football, like in the late 90s and early 2000s, where you were having Ohio State play at home and home with Texas. You were having I remember Oregon when Dennis Dixon was their quarterback. They did a home and home with Michigan.
Wow, I forgot. Yeah, Dennis Dixon. How about that name?
Like that's cool. I like seeing those schools on other campuses. I like to see that. And now all we're gonna get, for lack of a better word, is a glorified scrimmage in the college football playoffs and everything like that. That's the only time you're going to see teams play out of their conference. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think that's weak. I think that truly is weak.
So in 518-1410, give us a call or text into the show because I'm having a hard time seeing so a lot of listeners, I remember when we, during the season, when we'd have the debates about whether you should expand to 6, 8, stay at 4, all the way to 12. What people kept saying is you need to expand to 12 because that's going to give us more of these great non-con opponents. And I'm like, it might force like the Iowas and the Penn States of the world to maybe put some bigger non-cons on. But I think for us as Buckeye fans, I think it does the opposite. And that's just my opinion. I'm having a hard time believing that Ohio State needs the Alabamas and the Texases and the Oregons. That's another series that I had not scrolled down all the way for. I don't think Ohio State needs those for any kind of resume building. Ohio State's always going to be given the benefit of the doubt. We talk all the time about the SEC bias, and I'm not really trying to get into that necessarily, but I shared my thoughts earlier in the year that, hey, I know everyone hates the SEC bias, but let's be clear, Ohio State operates under a very similar bias. And what I mean by that is the SEC is given the benefit of the doubt all the time because they're the SEC. Well, guess who also gets that benefit of the doubt? The Big Ten doesn't get that. I agree with you fans that say that, mainly because I don't think that they're strong enough to get that benefit of the doubt. But there is a program that gets that benefit of the doubt, and it is Ohio State. Everything that we say that the SEC gets, I do believe that Ohio State gets that same benefit of the doubt. Therefore, I don't think it's necessary. Here's the other question I have that you might be able to answer, Kev. Ohio State pays like the Youngstowns and the Western Kentuckys and the UConns of the world, Bowling Green. Alabama, Ohio State, there's what's in it for both teams outside of the tough non-con opponent for each other. who's paying who, and is anyone paying who? I know that, by the way, Ohio State's having to pay like a nice number. I can't remember it. This screen froze on me. What they have to pay to get out of the Washington contract.
Right.
I'm assuming they're paying Washington for that. I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of team you have to be where you're not paying one or the other to play. I don't know how that works. I don't know the details.
I'm not sure how that works. I would imagine that the schools ADs work it out, because obviously if Ohio State is coming to Alabama or vice versa, they both know, like, hey man, it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be a big media draw. Like, it's not, you're not the only ones bringing all this attention to the game. We're going to get a sizable cut as well. So that's what I would imagine. I'm not 100% sure, but I would imagine it would be that way.
So in a statement from Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith, he said that his school initiated the cancellation and that they're going to be responsible for a $500,000 penalty under the terms of the contract that must be paid by February of 2025. This is his quote right here, saying that as a result of the cancellation, we will add an 8th home game for the 2024 season, affording us the opportunity to have the funding. Thank God that they found a revenue source to pay this $50,000 or $500,000, by the way. I think that's adorable. But he says, affording us the opportunity, to have the funding to pay the penalty and guarantee that 8th opponent. Smith said the series had been agreed to from back in 2017. It was to see the Buckeyes visit Washington in 24, and then the Huskies traveled to the Buckeyes in 2025. He goes on to say, Gene Smith, of course, that we're very disappointed that our student athlete staff and Husky Nation won't get to experience these two games with Ohio State. I'm sorry, this is the Washington athletic director. I think it's a bigger hit for Washington than Ohio State at the end of the day. So they have to pay $500,000 to get out of that contract, but that's nothing. You see the contracts the money that Texas and Oklahoma are having to pay. It's $500 million or something crazy. It's a ridiculous number, but they're going to pay it because they're going to, that money will be supplemented somehow by the transition into those conferences to TV playoff.
Yeah, and it's not like you have to cut the check tomorrow. Like, they break it down into payments. So, I mean, they'll be fine paying it. My whole thing is, like, it just sucks for us fans. And this turns it more, I won't say regionalized, because conference footprints are expanding. They're going to continue to expand. But, like, you're just not going to get that. The only time we're going to play Alabama is in the college football playoff. The only time that Ohio State is going to play Texas is in the college football championship games or playoffs or whatever. I just don't think that's good for the sport. I think we're even going to start venturing away from these neutral site games as well. I think those are about to go the way of Dodo Bird as well. I think we're going to get more and more of, MAC opponents and Conference USA opponents on the schedule, as opposed to playing somebody else outside of the conference. Like, that's a name brand. I don't think that's good for the sport.
All right, so Ohio State, they canceled their upcoming series. They're home and home with Washington in 2024 and 2025. Here are some of the big contracts that they have as we close this out. So they'll have the return game at Notre Dame, which, by the way, I cannot wait. It's one thing I love when, like, seeing Alabama at the Shoe is cool. That would be awesome. But, like, there's something about watching Ohio State play at various venues that you just you like to see them play at South Bend, to see them play at Notre Dame next year. That site is going to be so much bigger to me than when Notre Dame was at the Shoe. It's just going to be so significant to me. But in 2025, Ohio State will welcome in Texas. In 2027, they'll welcome in Alabama. This chart is going in a much different direction. It's not in the order I thought it was. Sorry. So 2025 is Texas. 2026, they'll be at Texas. Alabama coming to the Shoe in 2027. They'll be at Alabama in 2028. Don't forget that big one with Buffalo and Bowling Green. 2030 at Georgia. Georgia coming to the Shoe in 2031. At Oregon in 32. Versus Oregon at home in 33. And then the Boston College series, which I think halfway has a lot to do with why that contract got done last year. But I don't see – I'll be surprised to see any of those still play out as we go to this 12-team playoff.
As you run down that list, what's the Ohio State, Alabama home and home again?
That is not until 2027 and 28.
I'm going back the other way. It's going to happen.
That one happens?
Neither one of these teams is going to back out of that because of ego.
Because who's going to do it?
Who's going to do it? Who's going to say they're scared to play? for Ohio State to back out of the Washington deal is like, whatever. I mean, no offense to the Washington Huskies, but they're not top level, like brand name. Everything's on the line every single year, like it is with Ohio State and Alabama. Like they have good years, they have bad years. They've made the college football playoff, unlike USC. And they had a good season last year, and they're looking to win the Pac-12 this upcoming season. I think they will actually. But that game is not until the future. But Ohio State, Alabama, you know how the boards will go crazy if Ohio State dials up Alabama and say, "Yeah, we're not going to play. Sorry, don't get killed on the board." So Ohio State's not backing out, and neither is Alabama. They're going to play that game.
That's a very valid point. I don't think so. If Ohio State cancels the series with Texas, it's not because they're afraid of Texas. So I think that could exist in that too. Maybe that series happens for that very reason. But Texas isn't Alabama.
Right.
Texas isn't Georgia. I don't think Ohio State and Georgia are worried about who's going to blink first between the two, because Ohio State can look at Georgia and say, we have a longer shelf life of remaining at the top. So Georgia's hot right now, but will Georgia be hot in the next 10 years? We'll wait to cancel that one.
Right.
Alabama's you're pretty confident that train's going to keep rolling. So we'll see what happens there. But the Oregon series, Oregon needs Ohio State more than Ohio State needs Oregon. And Oregon did beat Ohio State at the shoe the last time those two teams played.
Right.
Kinner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
Don't miss Ashley's President's Day preview sale going on now. This week only. Be crowds and get early access.
After you've shopped around the usual places, what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. If you have concerns about your tax return, we invite you to discover how we can make your tax filing experience easier. If you had a difficult experience in the past, our professional staff can provide the accurate return you want with maximum use of all legitimate deductions. Laird's Tax and Accounting is a trusted name and stands behind your return if the IRS calls. Contact us at 937-325-6571. Information at lairdstax.com.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy customer.
Atrius Software Accounting is amazing. I was able to see where's all my expenses going, where's the revenue, which month had more revenue. I definitely recommend it to you guys who are a small business and need to record your expenses. And they just make it so easy. I was like, wow, affordable and easy to use. I have recommended it to colleagues.
Easy to learn, easy to use. Small business software tailored just for you.
Visit us at patriotsoftware.com. That's patriotsoftware.com.
With patriotsoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
When you least expect it, life happens. You can count on McAfee's 24/7 service to be there when it does. Any season, anytime, McAfee.
Beloved former basketball coach and educator Satch Sullinger knows you got to keep moving to stay healthy. But that's not so easy when your aching joints won't cooperate.
We still want to move and we still want to get around and we still want to be active, but we start to deteriorate the moment we quit moving.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments help restore movement in stiff, aching knees, hips, shoulders, and back, using only your natural healing properties to help restore damaged joints. That's a huge positive for Satch.
It's working. And what I really like about it is there's nothing foreign put in my body. Everything that was put in my body has been taken from my body. I love it. I love it. Like I said, I want to live until the day I die.
Get rid of the pain and start moving again. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
At the UPS Store, we know this upcoming holiday is when things can get busy for small business owners.
Exactly. My to-do list and I don't take days off.
That's why you can count on us to be open and ready to help with every small business need, whether it's packing and shipping or if it's just to check your mailbox.
That's almost everything on my to-do list. My list and I can take the day off.
Your local, the everything to help you be unstoppable store. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. The UPS Store locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Breaking news.
Tax refund shock is everywhere, but what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too.
The culprit? Pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this reporter's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Going there now.
50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Men, women, and young adults can find health wellness services at odh.ohio.gov/RHWP. Connect with a health provider to receive services like screenings for healthy weight, cancer, smoking cessation assistance, as well as other health services. Visit odh.ohio.gov/RHWP to find and connect with a location near you to schedule your in-person or telehealth visit today.
Justin Kinner back with you here. Justin Kinner just by myself, apparently. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Ohio State, Iowa, tonight, 9 o'clock, right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Dayton's radio, home of the Buckeyes football and basketball, of course. I know it's a down season for Ohio State basketball, but, it's been an interesting up and down season for Chris Holtmann. I'm just tuning in because every game still technically matters because I think every game, every loss piles up for those who want to continue to pile on Chris Holtmann, and every win kind of pushes them back just a little bit. And nonetheless, it's that cat and mouse game. It's just that tug of war, if you will, nonetheless. College basketball basketball, big week for college basketball fans here in the Miami Valley. Dayton will be in action on tomorrow night on ESPN2, 7 o'clock. Their tip-off is they're going to be taking on Loyola. They're on the road at Loyola, so that's a big one for them. Again, Loyola, last place in the A10. I talked about this with Norm Greavy when he was in yesterday, former Dayton Flyer. Dayton just has a habit of playing up and down to their opponents. Some took that as a slight to Dayton. I don't think it's a slight at all. I think that's the reality of it. I mean, Loyola was at UD Arena a few weeks ago. They gutted out an overtime win against Loyola. Dayton finding ways to win. And then, they play down to the level of their opponents. But what's interesting about them, sometimes you get teams that play down to the level of their opponents, but don't always play up to the level of their opponents. I never doubt Dayton when they're going up against the VCUs and the good teams. I know they've lost to VCU once this year, but I mean, it was some mistakes down the stretch. But beating VCU and St. Louis in back-to-back games this past weekend, I did not expect us to be feeling as positive about the Flyers heading into the weekend. 5 games remaining, 3 of those on the road, but they do have another shot against St. Louis to close out the regular season here in a few weeks. They have to keep winning on prime, on obviously national television, ESPN coming up this weekend, this Friday night. So another big opportunity for them to pummel Loyola at Loyola. So there's that. Wright State, they'll be at Cleveland State. Wright State, I think they're trying to crack the top 4 so that they can host a quarterfinal game to punch their ticket to the Final Four for the Horizon League championships. So that's a big one there, as Cleveland State's right there in the mix of things. So that's another one on ESPNU, a late night tip-off, another 9 o'clock tip-off for Wright State and company in the Horizon League. So keep that in mind. So much a ton of big basketball games in the college ranks coming up as we head into the weekend. So it is that time of year. But you know what time it is also at this time of year, Kev?
Tax time.
Have you done it yet?
I haven't, but I have talked to Michael, and we're getting things organized as we speak.
Now, who's Michael?
Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Services, 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle.
Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service. Once again, love our partnership with Michael Maxwell. He takes care of everyone here at WING, myself, Kev Nash, Keith Byers, and he takes care, of course, of all of us and the couples, of course. So keep that in mind. Every tax return that is done with him, of course, he gives back to the community with every paid return. And if you are busy like we all are, and you're just, man, I don't know when I'm going to have that time to bring it in, call, get that free estimate. And what you can do is start the process by downloading the Taxes to Go app. That's where you can send all of the information to him without actually having to go in. All you have to do is go in at some point to sign everything. But at the end of the day, and I don't even think you have to go in to sign everything. I think everything is done electronic. So there you go. You don't even have to go in. That's what's very unique about this. The Taxes to Go app, send everything in. You're busy. That's completely fine. But call, get that free estimate. That number to call, 937-543-5770. Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service. He likes, of course, to tell everyone that he takes the stress out of tax season. And with that Taxes to Go app and how easy Michael is to work with, he does take the stress out of tax season. Locally owned, 25% off to all military veterans and first responders. Call for that free estimate one more time. Again, Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service, 937-543-5770. And if you're in the New Carlisle area and like to stop by, 113 West Jefferson Street.
Yes, sir. And you'll get some good Ohio State talk. And unfortunately, we had to talk about some Ohio State basketball last time I talked to him.
So yeah, he's a big wrestling fan too.
Yes,
a wrestling fan, huge wrestling fan nonetheless. So
speaking of Ohio State basketball, I'm looking back at the schedule. Their last win was over Iowa, 93-77, way back January 21st. They might not win a game for a month because they go to Iowa night, like you said, but hopefully they win. Then they're at Purdue on Sunday. That's
and they've played Purdue. That's the thing about Ohio State is they're hard. It's hard to figure them out, but they've played Purdue tough. I feel like they've gotten worse as the season has gone on. That's the unfortunate thing for Ohio State. They're 11-14, 3-11 in the Big Ten. And the reason that every time you would check out their schedule, it would show, oh man, they're the favorites. They're the favorites in this. Finally, Vegas has kind of caught on. Iowa's a 7-point favorite tonight, 9 o'clock, ESPN2, Ohio State in town. But you're right. This isn't an NCAA tournament team. They're not going to be seeded high enough because they're going to have to play to win the Big Ten tournament. They would have to play 4 or 5 straight days to do it. That's not happening. So this isn't an NCAA tournament team, and they may not be an NIT team because you have to be above 500 to be even eligible for that. So this is not a good season for Ohio State. At Iowa tonight, at Purdue, like you talked about, a couple days from now, and then they return home for 3: Penn State, Illinois, Maryland. And they do close out the regular season on the road at Michigan State on March 4th. It's wild that we are, inching closer and closer to wrapping up the regular season. That's for sure. So, but yeah, that schedule is not too friendly as far as that's concerned. Talked about that March, with March coming up around the corner, first four. ESPN's Joe Lunardi. These are the 4 teams he has as far as the 11 seeds are concerned. But your Mississippi State, North Carolina, New Mexico, and Clemson. Those are the last 4 in that he has as far as his bubble teams. But other teams in the mix: West Virginia, Auburn, Memphis, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Oregon, USC. And then there's just, a ton of really good teams that we could potentially be seeing at UD Arena for the first 4 next month.
I am hopeful that North Carolina is one of those teams we see in the first 4 in Dayton. That team has so many.
Which team?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Oh, yeah. Well, of course.
So many expectations. You had Armando Baycott coming back for his senior year. You had the 2 guards coming back because of the NIL deals. You had Leaky Black coming back for his 6th year. So they returned 4 to 5 starters, and they were everybody's pick to win the Natty. And now they're a bubble team, and now they potentially be playing at UD Arena. That place is already packed for the first 4. Imagine a storied program like North Carolina here.
Yeah, we've seen, last year Indiana came.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. We've seen the 11 seeds that have been in the mix for that. Pretty exciting. Alcorn State, and Morehead State and Howard. And I get like some of these opponents aren't the most aesthetically pleasing, but that's why, while some hate that the 11 seeds have to be a part of the play-in, I don't call it a play-in. I hate when people call it the play-in, mainly because like last year, for instance, when Wright State won their conference tournament, when you win your conference tournament, you have officially punched your ticket to the NCAA tournament. So to say that they are playing in the play-in, that's not accurate.
Right.
They are in the NCAA tournament. This is the NCAA tournament. That's a branding issue with the NCAA. But to be fair, that is why they started calling it. They used to call it the play-in.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it used to be the play-in. It was all the 16s. You know what I mean? So it did used to be the play-in because it was all of those 16s. But now the other difficult thing is Wright State won their conference tournament last year, and they were that 16 seed. They were that, you know what I mean? So it was just one of those things. But they need to rebrand that. But to me, that is, you don't win your conference tournament for a chance to get into the NCAA tournament.
Right.
You win your conference tournament to automatically punch your ticket. You're going to get that auto qualifier. So that's why that's such a big deal. That's why I don't like when they call it the play-in as far as that's concerned. But yeah, Dayton is going to have to win the A-10 to get in. The A-10 is definitely down this year, but when you watch what Dayton's able to do with Tumani Kamara and what they're able to do, of course, with Deron Holmes, now they're starting to get the complementary shooting from the outside as well. Guard play could be a little better, but Dayton still has everything that they need to win that conference tournament. They'll be in action tomorrow night. Nonetheless, they do have, as far as the auto qualifier is concerned, VCU coming out of the A-10, taking on Indiana in a 13 versus 4. I bring up VCU because you would assume that that's where, whoever wins, that's where they're going to have the A-10 at about that 13 seed.
Yeah.
Not the best seed that we've seen out of the A-10, but Dayton versus Indiana, that would be, I'm saying Dayton versus Indiana, just putting Dayton in for VCU if that's the case. But this is the type of year, and this would be so Dayton too. Not living up to expectations in the regular season, but then going on to win the conference tournament and then win a few games in the NCAA tournament. That would be the most Dayton season ever. Yeah. It is. It's one of those, like when the expectations are there, even that 2020 season, no one expected them to be that good. They, at times, and this may sound like a shot, don't mean it to sound like that, but they never play up to expectations, Kev. It's rare that Dayton ever plays into expectations. They love to play the underdog role. In 2020, they went in unranked. They weren't expected to be the number 3 team in the country. No one expected them to host game day that year. No one expected them to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Even when they were winning and moving up the rankings, they had nothing but people doubting them. You play in the A-10. You have Obi Toppin. He's not player of the year. He's not playing up against the same competition that Luka Garza and the Big Ten and Iowa and everything else going on. So they, you could say, bring up that season, but they weren't living up to expectations. They were continuously having to knock down some of the doubters throughout that year. Every time there's expectations, this team struggles at times. I know injuries are the number one reason this team has, kind of stumbled out of the gate. But when you count them out, that's when they can, follow through with those big wins. That's why tomorrow night is a big deal, because I don't think anyone's doubting them against, Loyola, but they have played some of their worst basketball against the worst teams on their schedule. And with them being on the road, hopefully that's not the case tomorrow night. I still think Dayton comes out on top. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. Kinner and Kev right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Kev. I haven't come across any finalizations of that. Have you,
No,
Kevin
not
Love?
Not yet.
Reports of working out a buyout with Kevin Love, and it got Kevin and I to talking a little bit ago. When you think about that championship core, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kevin Love, well, it would be an end of an era in Cleveland. That would be the last remaining piece from that championship team. Where does Kevin Love rank amongst all Cleveland Cavaliers fan favorites? We'll talk about that on the other side. 518-1410. We'll be right back.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom.
Lowe's always has more ways for you to save. On top of our everyday low prices, pros can save big when buying in bulk. Or if your purchase is over $1,500, ask about our volume savings program. A pro associate can provide a customized quote. Ask about our volume savings programs today. It always pays to be a pro at Lowe's. While supplies last, minimum purchase required. Selection varies by location. Lowe's reserves the right to limit quantities. Volume discount pricing quotes are valid up to 7 days. Visit your local pro desk to learn more and start saving. Offers subject to change and may not be available in all Lowe's stores.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
It looks like your luggage is over 50 pounds. Is there anything you can take out?
Oh, yeah. Let me just toss all these $20 bills.
Great. Let me grab you a trash can.
Stop. Instead of throwing money away, move some clothes into a carry-on. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Bob Cole Reynolds in Troy says now is the time to donate blood to your local clinic or hospital. Giving blood is painless, takes only a few minutes, and is a rewarding experience for all of us. Be a silent hero and give blood today. Remember, the life that you save may be your own. This message from Bob Cole Reynolds in Troy. For commercial, industrial, and residential property rentals, call 937-339-5709. That's 937-339-5709 for Bob Cole Rentals in Troy. They wish everyone a healthy 2023.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Kenner and Cav live with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So, Shams And obviously all the other NBA reporters out there have been reporting all day that the Cleveland Cavaliers and Kevin Love are finalizing a contract buyout. And that already lots of interested teams around the league. My only thing with Kevin Love is, and by the way, like, part of me is like, well, why are the Cavs even, you bring in Danny Green, an older veteran. Why wouldn't you utilize the veteran that you have? They do have a lot of bigs, so I get that too. But with him being a stretch four, you can use him in different ways. Here's the thing. I watched a lot of Kevin Love this year when he has played, and I love the fact that he's still a weapon on the offensive side of the ball. He can shoot the three. Guys, he can't play like a defense. I mean, the worst offensive players on opposing teams, they don't have a quick first step, but he makes it look like they have a quick first step. It's the only thing that's deteriorating in his game is his ability to keep, offensive players in front of him. He's not a very good defender right now, but still, can rebound the ball, obviously knock down shots, just his veteran presence. He's the oldest 36-year-old I've ever seen in my life. But nonetheless, I hate to see him leave Cleveland, but apparently, according to Sam Amico, Kev, the Warriors are very, very interested in Kevin Love. Love is a childhood friend of Klay Thompson. Of course, he's seeking that buyout with the Cavs. One is definitely coming. It's just a matter of when, not if. He said, keep an eye on the Warriors as a potential destination for him.
I also heard the Suns.
Yeah, I think it's Lakers, Suns. Lakers because of LeBron.
Right.
Suns, obviously, why not? I mean, actually, I think he'd be a great I think he's a perfect addition to any of those teams, as long as he doesn't have to go be a guy that is going to be not one of those teams is a Kevin Love away from winning an NBA championship, but he definitely is like a cherry on top, if you will. He's a great addition to any roster.
Yeah, it's sad to see him go, but it is what it is. He's the last guy from the championship team still on the team. LeBron's then left. JR's retired. A lot of other guys have retired and moved on with their lives and careers and everything like that. So it's sad to see him go. But guess what? He did help us win that championship. So it's all good.
Yeah. So my thing is, why aren't the Cavs keeping him? Because if all these teams are lining up championship contending teams, I know not a lot of people are fast to put the Cavs in that championship contention category, but if they're not, they're this close.
Right.
If those teams are going to find ways to utilize him, why can't a young roster like the Cavs find a way to use a veteran like Kevin Love? I guess, is it because of the fact that they have Jared Allen and they have, just so many bigs that they're already rotating in and out?
I think that's what it is. I think that you have Mobley and Jared Allen, and Mobley has definitely come on in the last couple of weeks. I love the way that they're playing basketball now. Obviously last night didn't go their way, but it is what it is. You're not going to win every game, but the way that they were playing earlier in the year, it was a lot of, hey, man, Donovan Mitchell, just go be Donovan Mitchell. All right, when Donovan Mitchell's not on, Garland, go do your thing. Now it's a lot of balance. Now you're getting a lot out of Evan Mobley, out of just rim runs and things like that. He's actually demanding the ball and going to get the ball off the glass, hitting his 15-footer like you did his rookie year. So you're getting more out of Evan Mobley. And Jared Allen is the rim run guy and brings all that athleticism to the table. So I love the way that they're playing basketball right now. And you brought this up yesterday. I'm not sure if we brought it up on the air. The NBA All-Star game is not in the middle of the season. The NBA All-Star game is basically at the end of the regular season. After the All-Star break, there's going to probably be like 23 games left. So it's a sprint to the finish. So I love where the Cavs are right now, letting him go. Maybe he requested it because, he had a conversation with management and coach to say like, hey, man, that 15 to 20 minutes you were getting is going to be more like 5 to 10 minutes because we're going with the younger, more talented guys.
And makes sense. And his longevity in Cleveland, a lot longer than I expected it to, especially when that championship
8
roster
seasons.
9. Well, this is season 9.
Okay, yeah.
So 8.5, well, more than 8.5 as we just talked about. But when he retires, is he going to be known? He'll be known as a Cleveland Cavalier.
Yeah.
So I only bring that up because I was listening to a show earlier today, a sports talk show over in Cleveland, and they said it's weird because some feel like he'll be remembered more for the Timberwolves because he was the guy with the Timberwolves to where he was one of the guys in Cleveland. He was the guy in Minnesota, which I'm not saying I necessarily agree with, but I definitely understand where he's coming from. In Minnesota, like when I think of Kevin Love, I remember, he was putting up these 20-20 nights on the regular. Now you see it every once in a while. Guys are dropping 20 and 20 every once in a while, but there's only 2 guys I remember growing up that were dropping 20 and 20 like it was nothing. It was Dwight Howard. It was Kevin Love. Now, I'm not saying Kevin Love is Dwight Howard, but Kevin Love, had he stayed in Minnesota, he would have gone on to have very he would be in the MVP discussion a lot. I don't know if he would have ever won one because Minnesota was just kind of going along for the ride. But 9 years in Cleveland, 6 with Minnesota. He should be remembered for his time in Cleveland because he was part of the big three, won an NBA championship, loyal, got paid, and yes, the ring is yours.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
I just realized as you did that, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot. I didn't even put my Apple Watch. I didn't have my wedding ring or my Apple Watch on today. It just made me
man, you're not going to get the alerts that I worked out today.
Or, I just feel bad for all the women I'm going to disappoint along between now when I get home and say, sorry, ladies, I'm married. But no, he'll be known as a Cleveland Cavalier. That's what you think.
Absolutely. Love Kevin Love. Obviously helped my hometown team win a championship. And people that just think that he was just like one of the guys on the roster because of LeBron James. LeBron is like the man. And then Kyrie obviously hitting that shot. But never forget, when he got switched onto Steph Curry, he locked Steph Curry up for that 1 second in time. For that one moment, Kevin Love played defense like he was Gary Payton. He locked Steph up. Steph threw up a junk shot because he couldn't get around him. So forever, no matter like how many great baseball passes Kevin Love has thrown to LeBron for alley-oops or those 40 and 20 games up there in the Timberwolves, no matter what he does later on in his career, I'm going to remember the moment that he locked Steph Curry up to seal the deal for us winning the championship.
Yeah, and again, and I think the fact that when everyone left, Kyrie left, LeBron left, he could have demanded a trade. Yeah. And again, I remember the narrative surrounding Kevin Love at the time was, okay, well, he's enjoying, because there was a lot of guaranteed money in that guy, so he's getting paid.
Yeah.
And he was injured a lot, so he wasn't playing a lot, and they were losing a lot with him on the roster. Let me ask you, are you surprised the Cavs never tried to trade him? Or maybe they did and just weren't successful, but he was also injured a lot during those rebuilding years. But
I can't remember exactly which year it was, but they did try to dangle him out there, but they didn't have anybody wanted him.
Storm's coming, by the way. You hear that thunder rolling behind us. Nonetheless, last thing on the NBA here on the association, nonetheless, because tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about the All-Star game, the damn NBA dunk contest, making us sound like a bunch of owls. Who's that? Who? You like that one? That was good. I broke that out with Norm yesterday, and I felt pretty proud of that joke. I'm not a stand-up comedian, but I feel like I could be.
Hey,
who?
For anybody out there that's been listening to the show for 2.5, 3 years, whatever Kenner said about the dunk contest last year, he's going to say the exact same thing.
Awesome. It's amazing. Super.
Kenner's going to say he wants to watch the three-point shootout over the dunk contest. He'd rather see name brand guys do two-hand lame dunks than see these dudes that's going to be in it kissing the rim. Hey, the dude from the G League, Mac McClain, used to play for Georgetown and Texas Tech. He's gonna win.
Oh, you mean the guy that they couldn't
the guy that is your height. The guy that is your height. The guy that is your height. The guy that is your height is gonna do a crazy dunk.
That's super. But the guy that they couldn't even find a picture of him in an NBA jersey, he's wearing his G League jersey in the promotion.
Play for the Lakers.
Oh my gosh.
Play with LeBron and the Lakers.
How about, did you see, and I'm a fan of this, although I do like the current NBA TV format, NBC is preparing to put a bid in to get the NBA back. The thing is that I like about this is, well, for one, when I think of the NBA back in the day, Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls getting set to take on the Boston Celtics. Yes, I love this theme. I always think of this theme. But I think what we're going to see from basketball moving forward is going to be very similar to what we're seeing in college basketball, in college athletics, where it's one sport in the NFL on multiple networks, to where right now the NBA is exclusive with, they kind of share it with TNT and some of the others. TNT, but I think NBC is going to come into the fold. I would love to see an NBC game of the week with this theme, bring this theme back. They use this on Fox now, by the way. I hate it, and they use it for college basketball.
Shame.
I watched a college baseball game one time that had this theme on Fox. I'm like, what are we? This is, you only use this.
Yes.
For basketball.
I agree 1,000%. This is the basketball theme of my childhood. It should not be played on anything else besides NBA basketball.
Nonetheless. All right, folks. We'll step away for a few moments. You're listening to Kenner and Kev right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. For those hanging out with us on the YouTube and Facebook, one more time, you check out my new shirt. Love my new shirt. I'm going to wear it every day. In fact, I'm going to sleep in this shirt. I'm going to wake up, come to work tomorrow in this shirt. People are wondering, like, what tomorrow. Yeah. People wonder, like, what you talk about. It's my new favorite shirt. Yeah, baby. I love this shirt. Shout out to the wife. Valentine's Day present. There you go. All right, folks, we'll step away for a few moments. When we come back, we talked about Rob Manfred a little bit ago and the comments he had about Phil Castellini and the statement he made about a month and a half ago regarding the fact that the Reds don't have a shot this upcoming season. But it's okay because, well, 1/3 of the league doesn't have a shot either. So that's why we shouldn't be bullying the Castellinis, because a lot of teams don't have a shot of winning next year. So why are we getting mad at the Reds for what so many other teams are doing? There's that. We'll also dive back into a little bit of the man, the guy versus just a guy. That's all coming up. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Deb's constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating kept giving her grief. She talked to her doctor to get some relief. Deb had irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, which was a start. Saying yes to Linzess helped her do her part.
Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2 years old. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Hi, Greg McAfee here from McAfee Heating and Air. Inflation is hurting families. Gas and food prices continue to soar, but skilled trade jobs are paying at an all-time high rate. Why keep working for less? If you are experienced in HVAC, have a great attitude, love serving people, and enjoy working hard, apply today at mcair.com. That's mcair.com.
AC or heat problem? It's BOGO season, baby. Invest in a 16-SEER AC unit and get an 80% furnace completely free. Just pay labor and permits. Call Drake Heating and Air at 937-472-0640.